Hi there, Brett back here at Tabletop Sagas. It's been a little while since I've given you a video, so I thought it was high time that I updated you on what I've been working on. Now, in the past, I tended to try and put out these videos as often as possible to show you projects that I was working on, but I'm going to try something a little bit different. So I've waited until I've got a good chunk of a project to show you before diving in this time. So with that, let's see what I've been working on. I know, it's another new project that I've been working on. I really do need to get better at settling on a specific project, but here, for your enjoyment, is the starter for a 7 Years War Prussian army that I've been working on. And unlike with my Saxons, I really wanted to show that I am dedicated to trying to do this one, so I've started off with 6 entire units. This is enough units, I think, where you could have a reasonable, sort of smallish game of it. I am thinking of using this for Black Powder. I've already used Hail Caesar, I'm familiar with the rules. They're pretty much the same rules, so it just kind of makes sense. And then I believe it is the Last Argument of Kings expansion that I will be using as well to add in a little bit of extra flavour into this army. So what have we got here? Well, this is the Prussians at the onset of the 7 Years War. So we have got, and let's see if I can remember it, I believe we've got the 1st and 2nd Battalion of the 1st Regiment, and then 1st and 2nd Battalion of the 2nd Regiment. I'm just going to go up the numbers. Seems nice and simple. I might add in some Fusiliers, and I still need to figure out how to add in the Grenadiers as well, because the Grenadiers weren't dedicated regiments. Instead, they were actually a mix and match of some from the 1st Regiment, some from another regiment, match them together and you make a Grenadier regiment. But I'm doing this at battalion level, so I still need to figure that out. That's still all a bit up in the air. We have also got some nice heavy guns. I believe these are the 12-pounders. And then we also have a unit of Lancer heavy cavalry guys. I cannot actually remember what it is that they are called. They're not the Dragoons. Completely escaped my mind. Oh well. So yeah, so 6 units. Cavalry and artillery and 4 line infantry. I think that is a good starting point. Obviously got commanders that I need to do as well, but for the actual units, nice big block. And I have also deviated from the typical basing sort of setup that you can thank Martin over at 7th Son for that, and his Crusade stuff. They are on these squiggly bases, and I absolutely love them. So I love the look of them, so I've decided to emulate them with this. So let's zoom in on one of these stands and I'll show you a little bit more about what it is I've been doing. So here we have the command for the 2nd Battalion of the 1st Regiment. You can tell that because they're all in white and they have the full colour, if I can get so that you can actually see it, the full colour flag. These are really light miniatures, so trying to get them to actually be seeable under this light without it just reflecting everywhere and blowing everything out is far easier said than done, but hopefully you should be able to see these. They are in the typical blue coats, the black shakos. They've got that nice orange flag, which is actually just one that I've printed off. I've used some glue to kind of get it into a nice crinkled up, blowing in the wind sort of shape, and then just varnished it with a matte varnish. The details on it have become a little bit washed out, but I do think that I can improve on that as I'm going forward and I figure out how this works. This has really been a bit of a different experience for me. So I've never done anything in your kind of horse and musket, your gunpowder eras, uniforms basically, other than my dip into the World War II stuff for 10mm, brightly coloured uniforms, though this is an entirely new experience for me, and I'm quite liking it. It is batch painting these because there is really nothing to think about in an element. That they just paint up really quickly, and I've not gone for anything too complex, so I've gone for base colours and then I wash them with just a watered down wash that I've put into a big tub to get a little bit of contrast in them. But because it's watered down and I've used a flow improver rather than just water, it just acts almost like a contrast, but only in the sense of it sinks into the recesses and then not much else. It doesn't really stain the surfaces, which I really like for these because it allows me to paint them up really quickly, slap a bit of that on, and then we've got a nice effect for how the models look. So let's swap over, have a look at this one here. And this is standard line infantry for the 1st Battalion. Oh, actually I can tell you, because I've just remembered, I've got them right on the bottom. So it's the 2nd Regiment, 1st Battalion. Or 1st Battalion of the 2nd Regiment, however you would prefer to say that. Now, these miniatures, they are 3D prints. They come from Battlecat Miniatures, I believe they're called. They are on my mini factory. I will put a link for them down below. As you can see, they are really nice. They come with some really dynamic poses. I have also picked up the casualties pack, so I can have some people who are basically getting shot and dying as they're marching in. And then if I switch over to, this is one I really like. Got some guys for the 1st Battalion, 1st Regiment charging in, but one of their number has been shot out from under them, but they've kept charging anyway. And then if we switch over to this one, and you can see everybody's running in with that flag waving, and it is just, they are really nice miniatures actually. They are really dynamic, and you can do, say, you've got marching, you've got charging, you've got ones that are firing. We swap over to here. So this is the 2nd Battalion for the 2nd Regiment, and their commander is ordering them to fire. I have also been steadily learning a little bit about formation, so whereas originally I had the drummer in the centre with the command, I've discovered that the drummers went on either side of the battalion to basically hold the lines and keep everybody, well, where they should be. So I am learning about the era, which is really nice actually. And so moving along well, as I mentioned, the squiggly bases, they are an idea from 7th Son. They slot together really nicely, and they make it look a little bit like it's more of an actual battlefield. I know the square blocks, I'm struggling with them a little bit at the minute. They look a little bit too artificial, whereas even just the act of making this a little bit squiggly, to me at least, seems to improve the sense of this being a continuous battlefield. And also, when I'm playing, a thing that irrationally annoys me is when bases for the unit start to become misaligned, and so with this, they slot together, they ain't misaligning by accident or anything like that. Let's move on to the cuirassiers. Yes, I have remembered the name for you. So the cuirassiers here, these are still Battlecat Miniatures. We've just done some really quick contrast paints over the models themselves, and then back to my base coat and a little bit of that watered down Nuln Oil over the rest of them, just to really pick out those details. I think I'm not a massive fan of the black horses. The white horse I think has came out really nice, but or the white grey sort of horse. But yeah, I think I could do a little bit of a better job on that black horse were I to redo these, which I will absolutely be doing because I do need at least an extra unit of cuirassiers, if not 2, and then a unit of dragoons. So still plenty to do. And then let's have a look finally over here at cannons. The probably one of the biggest draws of the actual black powder eras is to get these, and I've tried to do these look a little bit more dynamic. So you've got guys that are reloading, you've got the other stand which is of a unit firing. I have also tried to make it look like these are actually in a battlefield, so although they are on just a static grass plain, which I'm not terribly thrilled of, I think I want to add in some, I don't know, some tufts or something, maybe just maybe add a little bit more realism to the ground. However, I have put some pigment powder on them, so that way it does look like they are covered in dirt. They've been marching for a few days before lining up for battle. These are not necessarily completely 100% parade ground ready in terms of the cleanliness of the actual soldiers. So this is where we're at the minute in terms of the actual force themselves. 6 units, so 4 line infantry, cuirassiers and the artillery. And where am I planning to go from here? Well, first of all, I currently have these, which are on the painting table, are my commanders. These are just going to be low level commanders. So these are going to be just foot colonels. Basically, plan is to have one of these painted up in the 1st regiment and another one to paint up into the 2nd regiment colours, so that way they look like they actually go. And then in the future I will be doing an actual army general. Battlecat Miniatures, they do some brilliant high command miniatures of you know Frederick the Great and all that. So I have printed off some of them and I am planning to incorporate them. They are just going to be as well on some more Battlecat bases, and not Battlecats, Big Red Bat bases, that's what they're called. So more squiggly bases, but this time they are round. I have got them already with the texture on, so I do put a texture paste, then I do the static grassing, and if I remember, which most of the time I don't, it seems, I have also been putting on some stones to add a little bit of interest as well. So this is the plan for the minute to expand the army. What I think I would like to do is, ideally, I would like an extra 2 units, probably do the 3rd regiment, and then an extra squadron, I guess is at this scale what they would be, of cavalry as well. And then at that point I would have 9 units, and that would definitely be enough for a good solid game. And then I will be planning to build up an army to fight these against. It will probably be the Austrians, because Prussia versus Austria is kind of the classic matchup for this era. But this is going to be a project that I work on. A unit of these I can do in a couple of days, really, even though they are 18 models a unit. They do paint up just really, really quickly. So plenty of options and scope for expanding. And then, you know, you can go into Sweden, Russia, France, England, Hanover. There are other options, and Saxony, of course, as well. So there are plenty of options that I think I will be adding to this army. But let me know, what do you think? Is this an era that you're interested in? 7 Years War? It's not really something I see a lot of here on YouTube, and that really is a shame, because it does seem to have been at one time or another really the kind of classic wargaming period until it was subsumed by Napoleonics. And that really is a shame. This is an era that I do really like, and admittedly it may just be the tricorns. But yeah, that's where we're at the minute. Let me know what you think. If you do want to see more of this, do feel free, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments down below, what would you like to see next? Otherwise though, I will see you next time here at Tabletop Sagas.